Let's get it started. Let's get it started in here. Let's get it started. Let's get it started in here. Yeah.
The views expressed by J. Michael McCoy are the views of the hosts and guests of Max World Live, and not necessarily the views of Webcast One Live, its staff, its management, the cleaning crew, Dave the electric guy, the guy who cleans the skywalk, the woman who brought in the cookies, the management staff of Hubble Real Estate, the parking lot attendant at Keck Parking, the wait staff over at Miss Kitty's, the coffee crew at Frederick's, the man in the street corner willing to work for food, Rob Spearman, Max Crabb, or anyone else of sound mind. Should you be offended, provoked, intimidated, shocked, confused, or just made to think independently, log on to MaxWorldLive.com right now. It's your voice we want to hear in Max World. And now, live from the palatial studios of Webcast One Live, your host, J. Michael McCoy.
Thank you, Michael Libby, with such enthusiasm. We appreciate that. We are here on, and this is being recorded on the, I think we're too hot on the audio in there a little bit.
Hot.
Yep.
Booming.
We are, no, that's not enough now. Give me a little more than that, please. Thank you, sir. Ryan, our excellent producer. If you're listening to this live, thanks for joining us. That's kind of cool. But if you're...
Get back to work, seriously.
No, some people can listen at work. It's okay. They can.
Do their bosses know this?
Well, they can shut the computers down so they can't get any out. My wife cannot listen to me because the computers are... Well, you're a computer
that's the
guy.
reason she gives.
Yeah. But what do they do? They firewall it or something?
Yeah, you block the ports, you block the protocols. But yeah, you basically put a corporate firewall in there as the rise of streaming media.
Yeah.
You know, it started with, Pandora, and it moved on. You have people watching entire seasons of TV shows on Netflix on the job, and it'll just, kill.
Yeah.
Kill bandwidth. And I say this as someone who used to run an entire radio cluster off 156K connection we shared through the building.
Wow.
That was only 14 years ago. It wasn't like in the dark ages or something. People weren't dropping dead of the plague. But yeah,
56K.
It was 156K connection on one of the secretary's computers that was just permanently dialed in most of the time.
We've got 5 megs here at Webcast One Live. 5 megs because we have so many streams that go out, and we have every stream on its own computer. So that way, if something goes down, we have redundancy.
Yeah, I miss my old CenturyLink 50 down, 20 up connection. Those were the days.
Anyway, if you are listening live via the computer or your smartphone, we thank you for that. Smartphone, you say? Yeah, there is an app for that at webcastonelive.com. But we're recording this on Tuesday afternoon, the 11th of March. And the big local news here is retail outlets and restaurants are dropping like flies. Carlos O'Kelly's announced that they will be closing citywide, metro-wide. Felix and Oscar's out west in the old Buca de Pepa. Well, you know what
Buca de Beppo.
Yeah, they're closing. Now,
really?
The regular Felix and Oscar's is not. Radio Shack is closing.
How Radio Shack survived the end of the transistor, I have no idea. It has to be like some sort of money laundering operation. I have no idea how Radio Shack still exists.
Where am I going to go to get an RCA plug or some wire to solder an RCA plug?
Mono price. All that stuff's gone online. There's not a high enough demand. Yeah, they're high margin items, but you don't buy enough of them. So there'll still be a couple places where you'll spend way too much for a monster cable if you have to. I have to have it now. But all that stuff's moved online.
The toys that they had such amazing toys there.
I know things you could make little shocking devices with. And
you just think about it though. Think about that brand name. I don't know how long it's been around, but it's been around as long as I have, 40, 50 years. And it's going out of business. The brand name is gone. The brand name alone has got to be worth $1 billion.
It's Radio Shack. No one has a positive mental... I don't even think Radio Shack has a positive mental image of Radio Shack. You can have a well-established brand like, I don't know, New Coke. And it doesn't necessarily translate into success.
Well, I feel bad for the folks at Radio Shack. Somebody's grandson who thought he was going to inherit Grandpa's money Just figured out he had to get a job.
Yeah, it didn't work out so well. But it's part and parcel with what we're going through. We live in a demand economy.
Yeah.
And demand is down. People don't have that spare money. And it's become a game of hungry hippos to get that $20 a month, $10 a month out of us. You know, and this goes back. Remember when AOL and Time Warner merged? Those were two great brands that work well together.
Yeah.
You know, their ultimate goal, the reason that
And now Time Warner's trying to dump AOL.
well, they're split and they're all doing their own stuff. But when that merger originally hit, that's when the light went off for me, because I remember reading some of their promotional materials, and it was, you know, the goal was to, in every home that they could get their hands on, have, you know, some sort of cable package, some
Right.
sort of internet package, multiple content packages, whether it's, you know, premium channels or now AOL with web access. This was a while ago.
Yeah.
But their goal was to pull somewhere between $200 and $250 per household out every month, you know, in $50, $75, $25, $5 chunks. That was the goal of that merger, to kind of delivery and content
Would you say it failed?
together. It failed miserably.
Why?
What do you pay a month for the cable internet? And you're getting it all from different places.
Well, I'm probably the wrong one to ask. I get everything from Mediacom. And
Yeah, I mean, the cable companies, some of them pulled it off to a degree.
I think I pay $2.25, $2.40 a month.
I mean, when you think about it, that's insane. We cut the
Right.
cable
Right.
at our home. Don't
So you
Don't
do
need-
everything off of
everything's
Wi-Fi?
Yeah, everything's online, and these days more and more content other than live sports, it's gettable elsewhere. And
Now-
even then, if you're willing to overlook a few copyright laws, even live sports is out there. But that's why, you know, you see these TV deals for baseball, football,
Yeah.
basketball, and like becoming huge money, because one, you actually have to subscribe in many cases to watch it, and two, it's not as good to DVR. It's very easy to DVR, you know, this week's Castle, because Nathan Fillion is dreamy. Not so easy to do with the Super Bowl.
Okay, now, but where are you getting your internet connection? You getting it from the phone company?
I was getting it through the phone company, and I'm getting it through Mediacom because of where I live.
Okay.
But that one, you know, 30 meg down connection takes care of all my content.
Yeah.
Now the question will be, how quickly will Mediacom believe that they can bring down my monthly bandwidth cap? And that's a relatively new phenomenon here.
Bring down your bandwidth cap.
Yep, right now, like on my plan, anything over 350 gigabytes a month, which sounds like a lot until you start streaming and you've got a couple devices connected to Netflix and download some iTunes movies, some games on Steam, so on and so forth, and you can eat that up.
Games
Really?
on Steam. I see a Monopoly box over a Chinese steamer.
No, but you can. The point is, you can run into that real quickly. And the scariest thing to me, and I don't think this got anywhere near enough attention, is are you a Netflix person?
Yeah.
You watch House of Cards?
No.
Oh, you should. Great show.
No, I do
Good
Netflix.
family values.
I do Netflix off of Roku.
Okay, but you should watch House of Cards. When the second season debuted, a lot of Time Warner, there they come up again, customers were saying the performance was really crappy. And like, this isn't working, and it's buffering, and I get a horrible.
Okay.
From the sounds of it, and I'm sure there was background stuff that we're not going to be totally aware of, but it looks like they were throttling. You know, like on an engine, you put a governor.
Yeah.
Right? Like, hey, you know, this go-kart could do 120 miles per hour. We're going to put a governor here so it's doing 30.
Yeah.
They were basically doing that with Netflix so that it didn't eat up all their bandwidth. And without getting, you know, too nerdy and too in-depth, Netflix ended up cutting a check, or will end up cutting checks to Time Warner and others to kind of pay for preferential or even in this case equal treatment.
Okay.
And that's a really scary precedent. And if you're an online broadcaster, and what if Mediacom says, you know what, Netflix is paying me $5 a month per subscriber, just pull a number out of a random. What are you going to pay me to make sure that your service comes through clearly? That's a nice broadcasting center you got there. Be ashamed of stuff that happened to it. That's where we're headed online, because the internet going back to the 1960s was conceived as this just free flow of information. And we've invested as a country billions of dollars going back to the mid to late 90s that most of the telecoms have just sat on. And you look at the rest of the world and what kind of internet infrastructure they have. We are miles behind. And I don't think there's going to be any incentive for these telecoms as long as they can squeeze as much money out of their existing infrastructure. We're not going to see upgrades. We're not going to see expansions of service. And it's going to limit what we can do. And by the way, the price isn't going to ever go down.
Who owns the internet?
Nobody owns the internet, but
I mean, who says that somebody else can't find webcast1live.com and buy it? Who says I get it?
And again, I am in no way, shape, or form a network engineer or anything like this. But basically, you have your backbones, your telcos, your Ma Bell, and they run that line. It all goes through them. But the whole point is, if you're Verizon, if you're AT&T, if you're Time Warner, all traffic, headed through you should be treated equally.
Right.
And those days, I'm afraid, are coming to an end.
Now, CenturyLink, is that a blue chip stock that an old guy like me got to put money into?
I have no idea. Do not ask me
Investment questions.
any sort of that'd be bad times there, but. They're still living off, those old copper connections that you had running to your house in the 1980s, and there's really no incentive to upgrade, and that worries me as more and more content moves online. My ultimate fear, and people joke about this, but in the same way you can have a cable connection and you can pay for Stars, and then you pay for the movie channel, and then you pay for this premium sports tier and this premium kids tier. If this deal with Netflix is allowed to go through with Time Warner, it would be very simple for Mediacom to give you basic internet, and that allows you to go to Google and Microsoft.
I think they already do.
Well, they do it by speed.
Yeah.
15 or 12, 30, 50, whatever. But here, what if, we're going to allow you, if you buy this package, you're going to be allowed to stream Netflix and Disney, but for an extra, $20, we'll allow you to stream through your Roku, through your iPad, all of these other things. And if you don't, well, we're going to throttle it to a 56K connection, and good luck getting. So we're not going to cut you off from it. We're not going to censor it, but performance may suffer. So yeah, that does worry me, and that's the way we're headed if the telecoms are allowed. I mean, they really should just be treated like any other utility, but that's just me. I'm bitter.
You're bitter. You're bitter, and nothing's happened yet.
No, it's happening.
I mean, you think it is happening right now?
I think when Netflix decided to start cutting checks to Time Warner, that is going to be the crack in the dam that brings the rest down.
We have a home, and when we bought that home, it came with a 2-year-old Mitsubishi 1080 HD, big screen. Okay, and it is now 14 years old and just looks great. But I'm waiting for the day that it dies, and I want to get a smart TV. So I literally can get anything I've got on my computer, I can get on my 70-inch screen.
Most of that you can do through, a plugged-in Blu-ray player these days. They all come with, the Netflix and the Hulu and.
I would need some help. I don't think
Just get an Apple TV. It's the easiest.
Well, somebody told me that I don't have a certain connection.
HDMI?
Yeah.
Doesn't have HDMI?
No, it doesn't. It has RCA, and that's all.
I'm
And then
sure
it has that one little funny circle thing that the lines don't match.
circle thing where the lines don't
Yeah, I
match.
mean, you know, where it looks like this.
God, I
and
would
then
love to sell you a car.
different prongs, you know, like that. See,
What?
for those of you watching right here, see different prongs, real small, smaller than like a dime. Never mind. I'm really showing my ignorance. All right.
Does it have an on-off button?
Let's take our first break.
All right.
And when we come back,
What are we going to talk about today? We've been talking.
there is a movement to get rid of the word bossy because it is the feminists don't like it.
What?
Yep, feminists don't like it. And a local person, Gene, wrote a nice blog about it today, and so we'll talk about that, and we'll come back. It's Max World with Bradshaw right here on webcast1live.com, 244-0077, 244-0077. It's your voice we want to hear live.
All across America, there are countless numbers of people struggling with addiction and other life-controlling issues. Probably someone you know and love. There is a way out. There is hope. Transformations Treatment Center in Delray Beach, Florida, has a unique approach to substance abuse treatment. Call now and ask about our Guaranteed Success program or log on to transformationstreatment.com. Transformations. Change your life. Change your relationships. Transform your world.
Yes, now your favorite programs on Webcast One Live can all be watched and listened to on any Android or Apple device. Your phone, tablet, or iPad. Yes, your favorite shows on Webcast One Live are available live or on podcast wherever you go. Let me introduce to you some of our great shows.
Shalom! Every week on Understanding the World with Rabbi David Kaufman, we'll talk about issues in the Middle East, issues related to the Jewish tradition and religious traditions in general, and keep you up to date on exactly what's going on around the world. You may know some of the story, but you haven't heard all of the story until you've heard it on Understanding the World with Rabbi David Kaufman and our special guests we have on every week.
Hey, this is Doc with Doc and Lefty. I want to tell you about our brand new time slot. It's from 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. It's on the same night, Tuesdays. We now follow Ed Fallon and the Fallon Forum on webcast1live.com. I want to tell you a little bit about our show. Our show is focused on local, state, and national, and sometimes international politics. We like to keep people updated and informed. We also have very interesting guests. So please join us every Tuesday from 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. on webcast1live.com.
So when you want to watch your favorite Webcast One program, remember, there's an app for that. You know, there's an app for that.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Get away from us, you mean old credit card. We don't have any more money. We're in trouble now. Save us! Help! Somebody save us! Somebody help! Help! Save us!
Hi, I'm Tom Coates from Consumer Credit of Des Moines. If your credit card's a little too animated, give us a call.
Hooray! We're saved! Consumer Credit! You're our hero!
All right, we're back. It's about 10 minutes before the top of the hour here on Max World Live with Bradshaw. And this program is available online only because there is not a radio station in the world that would allow the two of us back on the air together. Although, have you listened to our old station lately?
Sadly.
What's the deal? I mean, how come?
It's run on the cheap. It's unfortunate. I'd fix it for him if they'd let me, but
I mean, it's just. I mean, news reports are running wrong, and the yesterday's weather forecast.
Because there's no one actually running
traffic
the station. I take it from someone who has fixed it and watched it getting broken. There's a lot of moving pieces in there. It's like setting up a really, really elaborate domino set.
Yeah.
And then the goal is at midnight,
Yeah.
have the dominoes all
fall
go in the right order. And if it's not set up right, it takes entirely too much time to set up. So whatever poor soul they have tasked with taking care of that, it's not their full-time job, and I feel
Yeah.
I
And the
feel
other
sorry
thing,
for them. But the content is the other thing. I don't know. But go back like a decade though. I liked listening to talk radio.
Mm-hmm.
Not because I agreed with what they were saying, not because I found a common interest there, but there was content, and there was something more than just. I mean, there were always the Morton Downey Juniors.
Yeah,
I don't remember Morton Downey Jr. He was
sure.
He was a good sod, but there were always types like that, local guys and stuff, but they were kind of the outside. They were kind of the freak show that, where it was kind of, they'd shove them off into the night shifts and stuff like that. But that became the norm somewhere around, somewhere in the, I don't know, around the time Bush was reelected. Well, no, I mean, I'm not blaming it on Bush. I'm just saying that was about the time frame.
Oh, so this one is not something you're blaming on Bush.
No, but
okay.
No, I blame it on the conservative movement, and it became more reactionary than anything. But I mean, do you listen to much talk radio? You're a Republican. You're a conservative.
I'll be honest with you. I enjoy listening to Herman Cain when I drive down here to work, and when I get off work, I've got the last hour of Savage, and Savage is something I'm just trying to get used to, trying to gauge him. I was used to Hannity. I liked Hannity.
Good luck with that. No, but it's gone from, I don't know, and it's a loaded term, but it's gone from propaganda, which is basically what it was. It was pimping the Republican message and candidates and personalities. And it
or, as we like to call it, the truth.
Sure, you like to call it. It's your propaganda. But then it became sort of a mutual therapy session. We're right. We are correct. We surround them. But now it's almost turned into a combination 2 minutes hate and hug box. And it's a strange combination, but it's a place to go. Did you watch CPAC over the weekend at all?
No.
I mean,
that's way too much for me.
It's the crazy right-wing nut job pride parade is what it is over a weekend.
Yeah, I can't watch that kind of stuff.
It's just amazing because it's equal parts, just bile and vitriol, because that's basically what that part of the movement runs on these days. And a hug box for people who are getting older and are not adjusting well to the fact that the world is moving on in a direction that they don't agree with and doesn't necessarily need them. And that's something that every human being has to go back to. I mean, go back to the time of Socrates, and they could play, young people these days, they just don't know what's going on. And that's been the one consistent, the one constant through human history.
All right. So there is and I'll be honest with you, I'm looking at a really well-written blog by Gene Baker, and it's genembaker.com. And this is basically a conversation about banning words. Now, you can't legally ban a word in the United States. I don't think there is a word that is legally banned, which means if you were to use it, you would have criminal complications.
No, there are
consequences.
There's no such thing as a banned word. I mean, there are some, phrases and limitations to the First Amendment, talking about threatening the president or fire in a movie theater. Those sort of things are not protected. we've added to that, kind of hate speech to a degree, or it used to be called fighting words.
Right.
Like, you're not allowed to just pummel some guy in a bar, but he used fighting words, and we're going to carve out a little, loophole here in the law to allow you to pummel some guy that talks about, your mother's fondness for, farm animals.
All right, so Gene writes, recently there has been a push to ban the use of the word bossy. Like most times, people want to ban something, whether that something is a word, a food, or a vice, the intentions are good. The thought behind this particular ban is that girls shrink back from leadership roles out of fear they will be labeled bossy. Boys are almost never called bossy, so it's a sexist term that discourages girls and women to grow into leaders. You agree with that?
No, I think the problem goes far deeper than just the word bossy. I mean, on the if we were making some sort of pyramid, what the real foundation of some of these issues are. I mean, I don't think the word bossy shows up. I mean, I think the first thing it starts with is just kind of societal views in general. And I don't think the word bossy has anything to do with that. It goes back to, hey, young girl, young boy, we obviously have to get them different toys, different activities. One watches, My Little Pony. The other one watches G.I. Joe. If you're a dude who watches My Little Pony, you're a brony and you have some serious issues, but that's another topic for another time. Seriously, the number of grown men who watch that is creep.
Watch what?
My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic. They're called bronies, and they're deeply disturbed.
Is that a movie?
No, it's a TV show about My Little Pony, a toy from the 80s that they brought back. And yeah, a lot of...
do you know My Little Pony?
Are you a brony?
You do?
You can admit it here. This is a safe space.
He doesn't watch
until
it,
you admit you're a
aware of it.
brony. Okay. But no, it goes with that, and you get, you start giving them different toys, and you do have different expectations.
Jean continues in her second paragraph. Webster defines ban as, quote, to forbid people from using or saying something, to say that something cannot be used or done, unquote. And therein lies the problem. First, no matter how well intended, there is a difference between cannot and should not. Did you ever learn the difference between that? Because I used to tell you all the time, just because you have the right to do it doesn't mean it's the right thing to do.
And some of us disagree and say it is the right thing to do. In fact, sometimes it's the necessary thing to do.
Gene goes on, no matter how obscure, how profane, or how offensive a word is, somebody somewhere will use it. You cannot completely ban words. You can certainly make people pay a heavy penalty for using particular words, whether legally, hate speech, or socially, like the N-word, but you cannot completely ban a word. Should we refrain from using such words? Perhaps. Or perhaps we should just use it correctly. And she goes on to talk about the word retarded. Now, I grew up in a community where we had the state developmental home. And it was not derogatory to say that individual was retarded. So how did that word become a word that is socially unacceptable? I mean, if you look up, retarded is an actual word in the Funk and Wagnall.
Yeah,
It's not a.
I mean, it's everything from my progress has been retarded, but that's not how it's used. It's oh, that's retarded. Slamming that door was retarded. This show is retarded. You've heard that many of times.
No, I haven't. Really?
Your idea is retarded.
Oh, I never heard that either.
But no, I mean those. And it became kind of a, just a generic insult and put down.
But only to those who are easily offended.
In my experience, and this was the first protest I ever had held against me, was when I was doing my very first morning show, and got a call. Somehow got through the front desk, who should have been fired for not taking a message, but that's another story for another time, saying that they were going to start, picketing and protesting
the station,
our radio station, if I didn't stop using the word retarded. So I engaged them in conversation. I'm like, do you have, developmentally disabled? And I was, this was like when I was 22, 23. I was young. Punk then, as opposed to.
That was my thought.
But and it wasn't like they didn't have any personal stake in the matter. I think it was my first experience then with what would be called the social justice warriors.
What community was this in?
This
Columbia?
was in Missouri, and I think in that case, it was just the easily offended. So I literally started using the word. And yes, I know I was young and immature, but I wanted to see what would happen, so I started using the word mongoloid. And
Mongoloid.
I never heard a single complaint from the social justice warrior crowd. So either they were satisfied or didn't know what the word
because isn't that
meant.
kind of the same?
Kind of. Similar.
I mean, if you're called a mongoloid, that means you have some type of brain dysfunction? Yes?
Long story short, it's a genetic condition. But either way, it's not like something I'm proud of. It was my first experience with the social justice warrior crowd.
And nobody called you on that?
Nobody said another word. So, I'm pretty sure they were just offended to be offended. But I've also met people who have, relatives, friends, children, who are developmentally disabled, who are, mentally handicapped or handicapable, whatever we're calling it this day, who really find that term offensive, maybe because they don't want to be compared with Sarah Palin. I don't know. But, when it's something that personally affects them, I think you do have to stop and say, okay, you know what? Do I need to use this word? Is it causing these people actual harm, like through no fault of their own? But and lend that some credence.
But at what point does the PC world end up destroying the language? Because they're going to I mean, seriously.
Language always changes. Language always evolves.
Because of the weak.
No,
not because of the strong.
Society moves. Society changes. Change is inevitable.
Well, but society is hypocritical.
I don't think it's a matter of hypocritical. Society evolves. You may not believe in evolution, but go read a newspaper from 1850. Go read a newspaper from 1910, and go read the Des Moines Register and bring your box of crayons, and look how differently. Everything from the slang and the idioms to just the sentence structure. It's so different because language evolves.
All right, we're going to take our next break, and when we come back, we're going to continue on Gene's blog. Again, that's GeneMBaker.com, and the article is about banning bossy and some of the other words that are being bantered about of what should be banned, including some words that are regularly used in our English language. So we'll be back. That's Bradshaw. I'm Bossy. Ryan's producing, and we thank you for listening to webcast1live.com.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
I'm Brian Leach, owner and general manager of Service Legends. I brought along a couple of the home comfort heroes.
Hi, I'm Tammy Wells.
I am Nick Wondershide.
I'm administrative manager.
I am the senior technician
from Service Legends.
It seems like every good thing, when you feel it to the bone that it's good, there's a lot of hard work put behind it. I don't think that you can fake it and have it turn out good.
If we seem like, okay, that's just weird, it's just a furnace, why would you believe so deeply in a furnace? It's not just that, we want to show the world that you can have good service.
Yeah, I mean, it's your home.
It's built into our daily trainings, it's built into our culture, that we're going to do whatever it takes to have each client say they love us, period.
That's why we spend all the hours in the training that we do. And if we guarantee it's going to be a good experience for you, or else it's free, what type of work do you think we're going to do?
There is a guarantee.
Temperature selection guarantee, fixed right or it's free guarantee, comfort guarantee, best value guarantee. All of these guarantees hold us accountable to ensuring that we exceed your expectations. And if for whatever reason we'd fail and we can't make it right, we guarantee all of those guarantees with a 100% money back guarantee.
I mean, if you don't think that your technician can fix it right, are you gonna say that to a client? No.
You don't have to worry about having a technician come to your house.
We drug test, background check all of our team members. We put safe people in your home. Each and every one of our service techs, 400 hours a year in training.
You tell it the minute they walk in the door. They know what they're doing, they've done their homework, and they actually truly care about what you want.
Because at the end of the day, you're the person that makes sure I have a job.
They're gonna be listening. They're gonna wanna know what your challenges are. Then they're gonna come and give you options, and you get to choose.
If I'm there to help and I make it easy and painless, I did my job right that day.
Well, when it comes to your comfort, safety, and your family, you don't necessarily go buy the most expensive, but you get the most bang for your buck.
Oh, it's worth it, because there's a lot of people that will find a way to get it to work right now and then leave and then come back, charge you again, and the cycle just repeats itself. So when I'm out there looking at the furnace, I want to find why it failed today. How can we change the part today with something that you're not going to have to worry about? Is it worth changing the part today? I mean, you can put a lot of money into a furnace. I can fix parts all day. There's good job security in that for me, but is it the right thing for you?
I get a lot of the phone calls of after the technicians are there. They're just in awe. They're like, wow, you guys are great. I mean, I don't even know what to say. You guys are great. Everything you did was perfect. It was great.
Keep going though, I like this.
Just give us a try. I'm gonna take all the risk.
I've got the time to make this right. I've got the support to make it right.
Just check us out.
And if you don't see the value in what we do,
I mean, fixed right or it's free or 100% money back.
enough said.
Seven minutes after the hour, we're back on MaxWorldLive.com with Bradshaw this afternoon, and this is being recorded on the 11th day of March. And last night on ABC World News Tonight, Diane Sawyer ran an article or a piece about should the word bossy be banned. And the reason is because it demeans young women who are aggressive. That's what the story said. I'm reading a blog from Jean Baker at jeanmbaker.com, and she says, the definition of bossy is domineering. We all know people who are domineering, males and females, but bossy is not often a word associated with males. The same behavior in a male is often described as leadership. Leadership, of course, is a compliment, where being bossy is not.
I don't know, leadership that tends to fall towards the bossy side usually evolves into being called an a-hole.
So that brings me to so many other words that we're not supposed to say. Of course, there's that old adage, and I've had conversations with people in this very studio, and nobody can give me a good answer why, because of the color of your skin, you're allowed to say the N-word, or you're not, based on the color.
I will
of your
give you
skin.
a good answer, because we, as the majority, are in a position of privilege and influence. You're never going to get pulled over in West Des Moines driving while white. You're never going to have someone cross the street like, ooh, I don't like the look of that old white guy with the beard. So it is. I mean, we do have, to various degrees, a position of privilege. And I would argue, by the way, that's really the root of a lot of that, and not just racism, the othering of people. Because when you are in a position of privilege, like let's say you're down south and you're a white male and you're not successful, well, obviously it can't be your fault. So
you're white trash.
No, it's got to be somebody's fault, and it ain't going to be mine.
Well, and we're on the internet, and we're not on terrestrial radio, and you and I have no boss at this moment other than ourselves. So if this gets somebody mad, you can do whatever you want, but it's too bad. But the truth of the matter is that too many times when a small gathering of African-American men are in a mall or walking down the street, too often it is that group, maybe not that particular group, but that group that ends up having a higher crime rate than...
I'd have to see. You'd have to show me a source on that one.
Well, just look at the Iowa prison population. The majority of the Iowa prison population is African American. And yet, what do we have? 11% African American in Iowa? Maybe not even that high.
It's that high, but I think that.
But
again,
why is it 40 to 50% in the prisons?
I think again, you go, and this is something that is way over my head, your head, our heads. But it goes back to again that kind of systemic issues in society with poverty. Hopelessness, no way out of that life, the ghettoization of not just, races, but just entire sections of the country. And, more so, in the inner cities than others. These are really deep waters to get into, but I do think we have some systemic issues with the country. I mean, racism, slavery. I mean, it was our original sin, to borrow a term.
But
it's still with us.
But it doesn't have to be.
But it is. You can choose to ignore it, but that doesn't make it go away. We followed slavery with a century of Jim Crow laws, and that was even followed up with. Once it was legally enshrined that no, you can't keep black people from voting in the state of Mississippi. So it's not like it just disappeared in the 1960s and we were cured. It's not the clap. You don't get rid of it with a shot of penicillin or a Civil Rights Act.
But why not? I mean, we have a president, the leader of the free world, who says he's black. So we have every elected official that we've ever had in the highest of offices been black. We have universities. I mean, what if I came out with a club, or what if I came out with a mandate tomorrow as the governor of Iowa that I'm going to put together a special funding for young men who have had difficulties in life with education and family and all that, and we're going to help these young men through it. And oh, by the way, it's only for white kids.
I'd call that pretty much most of the South from 1860.
But that's what the president just did.
To 1960.
The president of the United States just came out with a program for young black and Hispanic males, and whites are not included.
Now, again, that comes with that position of privilege, and when that privilege is, when that privilege threatened, people tend to act out.
But the point is that here's what racism reminds me of. It's the guy that walks into the courthouse, the big doors that open up in the back, and he's got a camel gray sport coat on, and one leg's kind of stiff, and he's got a cane, and he's got that big foam thing around his neck. You know what they used to put around the necks? Now they do it with plastic and steel, but you remember the days.
Yeah.
Kramer from
the ambulance chasers would give you one.
Yeah, always have one. And so he goes in, and he pleads his case, and I'm in so much pain, and I can't believe it's just horrible. And he wins his case. He goes out, gets in the car, takes off the foam neck brace, and rides down the street as usual. It seems that racism is something that we put on when we want to manipulate somebody, when we want to put them down, shut them down, make them feel shameful that look what you've done to the black people.
No, I think there is some of that. But just to give you an idea of why I believe that there is still racism here is because we have not an insignificant number of we pasty white folks who are deeply concerned that sometime around the middle of this century, whites will not be the majority of Americans. And they find this a deeply troubling thing. They're very concerned about this, which leads me to wonder if perhaps somewhere in their mind they don't believe it. Maybe minorities in this country aren't treated the best.
Or maybe
they're afraid of being a minority.
Or maybe what we're afraid of is that the minorities never seem to step up and do what they need to do to rid themselves of the ugly past. We all have an ugly past. We all have an ugly past. And if I want to wear that styrofoam brace around my neck when it's convenient for me, and everybody on the pity party says, well, he got his neck hurt and it was a bad accident. So, well, I saw him driving down the road with that one. Oh, you must be. You have to be mistaken.
No, I mean, we study these things. Again, we study the symptoms. It's far beyond my mental faculties to come up with the root cause. But if you have a traditionally black sounding name, you do have a harder time getting a callback for a job interview, a callback on an apartment.
But why is that? You think it's racist?
Yeah, I think if you'll call Howie Kendrick back, but you won't call
Shaniqua.
Yeah, Shabazz. Yeah, that I think is racist.
Okay, but what about
And we do our best to make it so in Iowa, race, color, creed, previous condition of servitude are all protected classes. But I mean that really only comes into play if you're a business and you only fire all the black employees, or you're dumb enough to say, I don't want you here, insert,
right.
Word here. If as long as you don't do those things, you can be as racist as you like. You don't have to call people back. You don't have to, I found another, some other couple beat you to it. Sorry. And how many people are going to pursue that case? Not many.
I don't know. I think they're taking an easy way out.
But we know
really
these things
do.
happen. We study them. You can send the identical resume with just a different ethnic sounding name and it won't get the call.
Okay.
The Tiffany with an IE will get a call back.
So look at it this way. A guy walks in and wants a job, and he's got the quarter things in his earlobes. What are those called? Hoops or holes?
Gauge, I believe.
Gauge?
I don't know.
Okay. And he's got tattoos on his neck and every one of his fingers and all of his sleeves, and he's applying for a customer service job at the women's apparel store at Yonkers. Now, do you think that's the right image that Yonkers wants for their 50-plus women to deal with in customer service?
No, it probably won't. And when you choose to get a neck tattoo, which I don't understand. I know that's me becoming an old fuddy-duddy, but I don't understand. Well, and exactly. And so if I'm agreeing with you, it makes me an old fuddy-duddy. But I don't.
Or once again, it's the truth.
No, I don't get the neck tattoo thing, and I see it. Yeah, a lot of the younger folks are a lot freer. I mean, I thought it was bad with the tramp stamps and the dolphins around the ankles.
Yeah.
When I was in college. But yeah, it's gotten the.
All right.
I don't understand that, but yeah, at that point, if that's how you present yourself, presentation's always going to be part. But I think you can explain to me. I think you understand that there is a difference between I choose to get a giant neck tattoo and I was born black.
Correct.
There's a slight difference there.
Correct. However, now, the guy with the neck tattoo and the everything comes up to me and he puts out his hand and he shakes my hand and the hand shakes firm and he looks me straight in the eye and he says, Mr. McCoy, how are you today? I'd like to represent your company in customer service. And he does everything he can very well, except at his presentation. Should I give the guy the job or not? He's got great people skills. He's a nice guy.
He may have, but if people turn and walk the other way because he's got, Born to Kill tattooed on his neck and a swastika on his forehead or whatever.
I understand, but you take a person of colored skin, and what you see is their actions and their vocabulary and where their pants run on their waist, and they use the N-word. I'm not judging them by the color of their skin. I'm judging them by their worldview. And their worldview is victim, attitude, arrogance. I can do anything I want.
You can say the same thing about Xbox One owners.
I have no idea what that means.
Oh, the Xbox, leave it alone. But, no, I mean, young punk, again, going back to the time of Socrates, that's not a new phenomenon.
All right. I want to bring
nothing new under the sun when it comes to this. The older generation always dislikes the younger generation. But there's a difference between, thughood and I'm not going to call this person back for a job interview that they're qualified for because they have an ethnic sounding name.
All right.
And we know, through study after study that happens. That is a reality in America.
All right. I'm on last thing with words, and then we'll be done for the day. And I appreciate you coming in.
Mm-hmm.
I'm on Wikipedia. Is that okay? Do you respect
it's not
Wikipedia?
Racist. To a degree. Wikipedia is a really fascinating sociological experiment when the article for how we got to the moon in the various articles there have less content than obscure Japanese cartoons.
Right.
It's a little weird,
All
but
right. So here's what I did.
Generally, it's cool.
In Wikipedia, I put in the word faggot.
It's a bunch of sticks.
Correct. The word faggot is an archaic unit of measurement for bundles of sticks. Now, I go through the first page. Bundles of brushwoods. Ancient symbol of an axe bound to rods, metaphorically referred to as what fuels the fire. I go down, I get to culture. Oh, well, culture's certainly going to tell me that word is a derogatory word used for people who presume to be acting gay. Nope. Well, I get to food. Well, it's a meatball made of pork. I get to science. It's a blast cell found in leukemia. I get to surname. I get to see the above, and there's nothing there about derogatory for someone who acts gay.
So what if I call you that word? What do you think I mean?
I don't know.
Yeah, you do.
Well,
you do.
You think I'm gay?
Yeah, if I call you that, I mean, again, spend 10 minutes on Xbox Live and you'll be called all sorts of...
But here's my point, though. I choose not to be offended. I choose not to be...
And that is a wonderful privilege we have. No one hangs no one's stuff, straight, middle-class white guys to fences in Wyoming. Doesn't happen.
But, okay.
And then there is the difference. Again, this is a position of privilege, and it's not something we have to be ashamed of. It simply is, and to be aware of it.
So we've got the word bossy that now if this thing gets any legs over the course of 18 months, bossy's not going to be a word that you shouldn't say to a young lady.
No, I don't think they'll be successful in banning the word bossy. I think too few people see it as a specifically gendered insult.
So when you start seeing this movement, this will be interesting for us to measure. It's the beginning of March 2014. So every time I see a news story or a magazine or somebody's written an article or a blog or done a feature on the word bossy, what I'm going to tell you is that the movement, that's who I call them, the movement, the left, I want everything to be my way. I want it to be the way I like it to be because it makes me feel good, and I want to be offended by anything that doesn't make me feel good, and you have to step in line.
That sounds like a good majority of the Fox News viewing day to me.
That's the LGBT movement. Okay, they're working.
I don't think they're behind this. I think this is
is the feminist movement.
But no, I think we have legitimate issues with women as C-level executives. I mean, here in the state of Iowa, we've still never elected a woman to Congress.
Have you ever said to your significant other, "You're being a little bossy"?
No, I don't want to die.
You think she'd be offended by that?
Oh, probably. I use the word nag anyway.
Yeah, so
then I duck.
We're going to ban that word next? Nag, 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 nag. It's all you ever do is nag. Men don't nag. Women nag.
No, I've met some men that nag. But again, I don't think I don't think bossy is a
we'll remember.
Particularly gendered. I think at the end of the day, I think and it sounds like this whole thing started with Sheryl Sandberg, who is a C-level executive, and she's a director with the Walt Disney Company, and she's a big higher up at Facebook, saying, we don't have enough women in leadership issues, and what are the causes of this? And I think she's right in the sense of we push, I don't know, whatever, aggressive females, alpha females do get societal pushback. Ladies aren't supposed to act that way.
Oh, come on.
Again,
That's the 50s.
It's hard to look like a badass in a hoop dress is all I'm saying.
Well, then,
But we put women in.
I like these women that come in bright red dresses, and the hem is all the way up, and the line,
I like those too.
The drop. What do you call that? Not the drop line, but the
neckline.
The neckline is all the way down, and they're mad because I'm looking at their chest, and that makes me a sexist.
No, you're a sexist anyway. You just happen to be looking at their chest.
All right. Look forward to you coming back again soon.
I was kidding, by the way.
I know. Next day off.
I think you're old and crusty, but not particularly hateful.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
Coming from you, I take that as a great
I was going to
compliment.
say, from where I've been in the past, that's a great
That's
improvement.
a great compliment. All right. Bradshaw's out. Max out. We've got The View from a Pew with Tom Coates and Tamara Scott coming up at 3 o'clock live here on webcast1live.com. Thanks for listening.